Pop culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on The Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. And TGIF. Wow, what a week it has been. I'm so sorry. I have just not been able to catch my breath this week. I don't know what's happened, but I just haven't found my energy at 100% yet. But you know what? I started my period yesterday, so I think that has something to do with it. I was like, why am I feeling so awful? Oh, there you go. There you go. So this weekend is going to be a very chill weekend for me. Tonight, I'm going to do the picnic with my Aikido classmates and whatnot. And then tomorrow, I am going to do my salsa dancing and, the weekend over, do the dance stuff. But that's about it. I'm pretty much going to stay to myself and try to sleep as much as possible, drink as much water as possible, and get my energy back for next week. Damn it. Like, it sucks feeling so exhausted all the time. Anyway, it is so nice to see all of you here. We've got RL, Ronnie, Tyrell, Ali. We've got Venetia, Ramster. Thank you, Ramster. I'm hoping that it comes back to full capacity next week because I love being energetic and I miss it. Good morning, Gala. Good morning, Acacia, Chastity, Caroline, Aaron, Tadisha. We've got so many of y'all in the building. Good morning to y'all in the bushes. Hope y'all are doing well over there too. We've got a lot to talk about in today's episode of the Morning Report, and I'm really excited to get into it with you. So I did actually end up listening to the Kale Lowry feed. No, actually, yeah, I listened to her on the Lala Camp podcast. There wasn't too much else that came out of that, but she did do an interview with Parade, which I'm assuming is a magazine. And she shared a little bit more info about that stuff that Javi was talking about. Do you remember when Javi came out and said that she's got this new man? The man is going to be leaving his home state of Philadelphia to move with her in Dover and whatnot. She's kind of like low-key saying he ain't wrong. So we're going to get into that. Her, Frenemy podcast co-host Becky had her son just a couple of days ago. He is officially born. And to be honest with you guys, I was quite surprised that his name was Becks. I thought it was a nickname, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the name Becks. It's just they've been calling him Baby Becks. So in my head, it's just like a cute little nickname for her, Becky, right? Like Baby Beck, full-grown Beck, but wow, that was kind of cool, fun. Michelle Obama is also addressing those pesky divorce rumors that have been plaguing her and her husband all year long. Remember when people said that Barack was secretly dating Jennifer Aniston? Well, she's going to be clapping back at all of that. And we've also got to talk about Gypsy-Rose Blanchard and how she's breaking her silence again about her mother's passing and how she doesn't want to take the blame for her accomplice, Nick, still being in prison. She said, listen, autistic or not, he did what he did and he deserves his time. Justice was served. Leave me alone. So I got that full statement for you. And last but not least, we're going to get into the latest civil suit brought forward against Diddy and his son. And shout out to you guys who were here. When did we talk about asking ChatGPT to do a prediction on the percent chance or the probability of Diddy being convicted of any of these charges? Well, I forgot to bring that up that same episode, but I do have the chart here and we're going to go over it together in today's episode. So again, thank you so much for being here. I'm really looking forward to discussing today's big stories with you. If you find yourself enjoying this episode of the Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows that you enjoy my content. And thank you so much, King Carl. I do my best for you. Thank you so much. And let me see who else joined us. Oh, we've got Stacy's here. Hey, Stacy. Hey, Angela. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Kay-Ann. So nice to see y'all continuing to pour in this upcoming week. No, not particularly that I know of anyway, but I don't really work on the French work schedule. So I don't know all their holidays, just the major ones. But I think Ramster did bring up the 14th, Fête de Bastille, which is one of my favorite holidays here. That is coming up the week after next on the 14th. Cannot wait. All right. So So why don't we get started with our first story, shall we? Anna Wintour. She's officially, finally resigned as editor-in-chief of Vogue magazine. Listen, we cannot understate the impact that Anna Wintour has had on the Vogue brand. She really, turned things around and really helped to continue to catapult it and maintain its position as probably the most relevant fashion magazine in the world, right? So kudos to her on that. But after 40 years, it was about time that she left that position, because it is time for fresh new perspectives to take over and bring Vogue in a completely new direction. So I really am looking forward to seeing how that turns out. So she announced the news just last night, actually, you guys, and Vogue is currently looking for her successor. And although she's retiring from her position as editor-in-chief of the US edition, she's not retiring from everything. She is going to maintain her position as Vogue's global editorial director. And Condé Nast, which is a big company that owns Vogue and all these other magazines as well, I think including Harper's Bazaar, she's also going to remain their global chief content officer, which, I don't know how I feel about it, right? I get things like wanting for them to be a smooth transition. However, is this that big of a change if she's still going to have these big positions that are even more powerful than editor-in-chief of Vogue? Are we really going to see a big evolution if she's still hogging up these top spots? I'm not so sure about that. And I'm not saying that she should just get out of here, right? I imagine it's incredibly difficult for her because her job is a job that she has worked for her entire life. It is such a prestigious job as well. So I imagine when you do that kind of work and your work gets you in positions of power to run these massive events and these massive decisions, right, in the world of fashion, like the Met Gala, and just dictating trends and this and that and everything, it would be hard to step away from that. You see lawyers, you see doctors who continue to practice until they're 80, 90 years old because they're just so passionate about it. So it really does not surprise me that Anna Wintour is probably going down in that direction, that she wants to continue seemingly forever. But at the same time, this is something where I do feel like we need completely new people at the top of the totem pole so that things can actually fully change, right? This is going to be more of a slow transition in terms of what Vogue brings to the table and whatnot. But if she were to completely leave, it would be a completely different story. And so that is kind of what I'm personally looking forward to. I think she's great. I love what she does, but we're ready. It's been long enough, right? It's been long enough. It is time to move on to the next person. And Tyrell, listen, although she's not going to croak at the desk of editor-in-chief of Vogue, it seems like she wants to, do that, right? Kind of like the lawyers, the doctors and whatnot who continue to practice forever, or the vets. She wants to remain at Condé Nast at the very least, seemingly forever. Damn. Milan, hey, nobody can make me hate her. She was the first person to put Black models on Vogue. And there's that too, right? She really did the damn thing. And you know what I want from her and everything going on right now? I would love for Netflix to do a documentary on her. I think we talked about this on my channel, but when Netflix released their documentary about Martha Stewart, I consumed that like crazy. I loved it so much. They know how to do a damn documentary. And Anna Wintour has an incredibly fascinating story. Like Milan said, she really was groundbreaking, right? When it comes to diversifying the type of models that you see in magazines and whatnot, right? And she's been at this since 1988. That is before I was even born, y'all. And listen, I'm getting a little long in the tooth here myself, right? So she's got a lot to say, a lot to share and everything. Like, wasn't The Devil Wears Prada that boss based on her and everything? Like, let us behind the cover to really finally truly see a little bit more of Anna Wintour, right? And yeah, so Ramster says, I'd be hogging it too. And honestly, to be real with you guys, I think I would too. And don't forget, as people get older, they tend to feel lonelier. So when you have a job like this that is practically all consuming, and again, it really contributes so much to your social life, to the fact that it can completely become your only social life, right? And it's a damn good social life, a glamorous social life. why would you just walk away from that? To do what, right? To relax. Relaxing is cute and everything, but even that gets tiring as well. So I get it. It's just, for me, selfishly, I do kind of want to see things like completely change, right? Like as far as what fashion is bringing to us. I don't know what that would look like, right? I think there's somebody more creative than myself, far more creative, who can come up with something that would just really just blow our minds, right? But anyway, we'll see how that goes. Hey, Cynthia, nice to see you. Good morning, sunshine. Ellie says that she's not fully stepping down. Exactly, right? So she's staying in like the top position. So editor-in-chief of Vogue is potatoes, right? Small potatoes compared to the position that she is going to be maintaining. But listen, gotta love an ambitious woman. Shout out to you, Anna Wintour. Good luck with this next chapter of your career. Now, speaking of ambitious women, why don't we get into the former First Lady of the United States of America? Have you ever seen a clearer photo, by the way? Like, what is this? 5K, 10K? Really, really amazing photograph. So as you guys are aware, there have been a lot of divorce rumors plaguing the Obamas this entire year. In fact, a lot of rumors were even claiming that Barack was out here creeping with Jennifer Aniston, of all people. Y'all know how I feel about that. And Michelle, she has been, in my opinion, kind of flaming some of these rumors with some of the things that she's been saying, but now she's officially tired of it, and she is sharing her thoughts on what people have been saying, right? So she appeared on the Wild Card show with former, MSNBC host Rachel Martin. And she said, and I quote, "Listen, y'all are not seeing," I'm not quoting this part. Rachel asked why we don't really see the two of them together on social media. And Michelle said, and I quote, "We're 60. We're not going to post every moment of our lives. That doesn't mean something's wrong," right? And so she also kind of doubled down on their choice to keep things private. And she says that that decision is about aging gracefully and stepping out of the public eye. Nothing to do with them having any kind of marital issues. I gotta ask y'all, how do you think about this? Listen, I love the Obamas together, but I don't think these rumors are coming out of nowhere. I think that at the very least, there might be some trouble in paradise and some people close to them who are talking about it, but they don't have the full story. And that's why it can't 100% be tracked down or pinpointed to what exactly truly is going on there. But it wouldn't surprise me if they were having a difficult year or a difficult time, because Michelle has been relatively open about how they have had difficult years, plural, in this marriage, right? And I think that that's relationships in general. They're not always going to be on a high. They sometimes can be at a low point. And if they don't want to open up about currently being at a low point, if that is the case, so be it, right? They're not reality stars. They're not actors or anything like that where you go, oh, well, this comes with the territory, blah, blah, blah. No, like her husband was the president of the United States. She was the first lady. That's it. That's all. You don't get anything else. And, for me as a chismosa, I'm a little disappointed because I want to know what's going on. However, I got to respect it. Good morning, Bree. Nice to see you. Happy Friday indeed. TGIF. Tyrell says these people who work so hard for so long, giving it up. Yeah, that can be the death sentence. Most need to get a part-time job at least. Exactly. They're so used to working. And I think that's what's happening with Anna Wintour. I think that continuing to work is good for her mental health. Ali says, as long as it's not Blake Lively, thank God it's not. But you know what? I got to be honest with y'all. I don't really like Jennifer Aniston. And I couldn't even pinpoint why. Like there were some things that she was doing on Instagram that I didn't like. She was liking these like anti-Meghan Markle memes that were like kind of like weird, like that I didn't like, like making fun of her, which I thought was really tacky for her as a public figure. But and then I just find her to be very bland and overhyped. I just do not get it. Angela, great question, right? Again, this photo is so clear. It really feels like I'm looking straight at her. So I do think that it was touched up, perhaps with AI or something like that. But I think it was a real photo at a certain point, but it is just so freaking high definition. Do y'all remember when I met her? One thing about Michelle Obama that really surprised me when I met her was how tiny she was. I think she's about my height. I'm like 5'6". So she wasn't that much taller. Or maybe she was. Actually, she was taller. She was taller than I was. But she's really thin. Like I would say she's probably like a size 2. 4 max or something like that. She was really, really thin. Same here, RL. She is just so fabulous, so elegant, so beautiful, so educated. She is that girl. I really, really do love her. And I'm happy that she's continuing to write books, to have a podcast, and to keep her voice out there, because, you know, we need more people like her out there in the public eye. So shout out to her. Hey, Stacy, thanks so much for becoming a channel member. I've got a video dropping for you guys very soon. I'm looking at the time to make sure. And I hope you enjoy it in advance. Milan says, I feel like they're divorcing but hiding it. Listen, you know what? Speaking of, what if they're living separate lives even, but they can't divorce due to all the assets and due to privacy, due to, I don't know, the publicity and stuff? Do you think that that could also be the case? Because yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like something in the buttermilk ain't clean. I don't think that these rumors are coming out of nowhere. I really do think that where there's smoke, there is fire. And Tyrell, a bonus viewer, is just a channel member, So for example, you're a channel member. Acacia said, oh, we got a super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat, Acacia. Let me get my sound effect out for you, girl. Oh, yes. Thank you. She says, have a great weekend, Grace. Thanks for always giving us the facts. Also, thanks for the support. Well, thank you so much. And you know what? I really do love seeing your videos. So you guys, Acacia has a TikTok page and a YouTube page as well, where she shares like her gardening adventures and like learning about creating bouquets and just all this beautiful stuff, all things floral. And y'all know I'm loving all things gardening, all things floral right now. So I'm kind of obsessed with her. So of course, thank you so much, Acacia. And yes, it's so nice to see all of the love for this family. And Tadisha, I get it too. It's been around for a really, really long time, but I don't know, y'all, something's happening. Hey, Jaleesa, how are you feeling today, boo? TGIF. They've been together for 30 years. Exactly. There will be difficult times. So even if they can't stand each other right now, it doesn't mean they're divorcing. Exactly. You know, I feel like, what do you do when you're in this situation, right? And the guy's getting on your nerves or she's getting on your nerves. But look at what you have. You've got the former president of the United States. You've got the former first lady, like, whatever. So long as the person is not being like toxic to you or abusive to you or whatever, you know, like maybe we'll take a little break. Maybe we'll freak around a little bit with other people, but we'll come back to this. Like, I'm not leaving you for nothing. Are you kidding me? If I were married to the former president or the president of the United States or whatever, you think I'm leaving that? Absolutely not. You would have to pry him from my cold dead hand. No, like, I'm joking, but like it would take a lot. And I'm somebody who leaves like very easily. Okay. So that's saying a lot. But he just says, I love Michelle and she always looks beautiful. She really, really does. So I really, really hope that everything is okay with them. And again, I do believe that they are going through a rough patch, because even some of like the kind of offhanded remarks she makes in podcasts kind of like point to that. But you know what? I think they'll get through it. Now, I did want to get back into the Becky story that I hinted at earlier this episode, okay? So do you guys remember Kale Lowry's frenemy, Becky, with whom she shares the Karma and Chaos podcast? Well, her wife just gave birth to their first child, a son, and listen, this is his full name, which I think is lovely. I think they use both of their last names. His name is Becks Steven Hayter Makarevich. Can someone help me pronounce this? Makarevich, right? Makarevich. There you go. Makarevich. And he was born 2 days ago. So what is that? On Wednesday, June 25th at 1:10 p.m., weighing 7 pounds and 13 ounces and measuring 20.5 inches long. That's long, isn't it? He is a long baby. Our hearts are so full. Leah was an absolute rock star, and seeing her bring her baby into the world was the most incredible experience. So congratulations to them. They look so, so happy, and I'm really happy for them. You know, I've loved listening to Becky talk about this story on their podcast. In fact, do y'all remember when I told you, and this is when they were begging for more listeners, right? They were like, we're not getting enough listeners. Like, can you share this with people? Blah, blah. I said, listen, Becky kind of low-key needs to do her own podcast about this journey, the surrogacy journey, not the surrogacy, the IVF journey with her wife, the way that they want to kind of raise their son while maintaining contact with the sperm donor, raising a child in a lesbian household. Like all that stuff is just so fascinating and so unique. And I really think that this could have been something so cool for her. So I am quite sad that she hasn't gone down this route, but I really have enjoyed listening to her tell this story. And another thing that was quite cool about like their baby and the conception story is how this child has Becky's DNA mixed with the sperm donor's DNA, right? And unfortunately, Becky, she was pregnant as well. She was supposed to be pregnant at the same time as her wife. However, she unfortunately suffered a miscarriage. But when she was pregnant, they did the reverse, which was sperm donor sperm with her wife's egg. So Becky's wife was going to give birth, or did give birth now, to a child that is genetically related to Becky, and Becky to do the same as well, right? And I just thought it was just so fascinating, so cool. And so, yeah, like I'm really excited to hear how all of this goes. Becky really loves talking about all things baby, all things family on the podcast. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this evolves, right? So what do you guys think about her, right? I know that we still kind of have the whole, a little bit of an enabler or whatever, but I do think that she's a pretty straightforward person. And I think that she does try her best to call Kail out whenever she can, right? Like she's got to walk a certain line. But I think despite that, she's probably the one that calls Kail out the most out of any of her friends. In fact, I would actually even go as far as to say she's the only one that even dares to call Kail out on air or anything like that. And so I like her, y'all. I like her, just saying, right? And Malen, I that's kind of like the thing that I envision, right? Like a little bit like that. When you're this powerful, when you're this rich, come on. Just saying. Acacia says, I feel like people want to always see the negative. Marriage is hard. There'll be ups and downs. I don't think they're divorcing, period. Listen, I would cry. I would fall to my knees and cry if these two divorced. It would feel like, my parents divorcing or something like that. Ramster says, wow, Becky let go of Kail's hand for a couple hours. Ramster, you are always here with the zingers. You are always cracking me up. I don't know where you come up with these, but I find you to be so hilarious. Because, you guys, when I bring these comments up, I don't really get the opportunity to fully read them until they're up. And so, oh my God, Rapster, you crack me up. Minnie says that baby is the exact same size as my baby, who's now 12, same weight and length. Is your baby tall, Minnie? Because to me, or maybe it's been ages since I heard about the lengths of babies, but that seems really tall. Is your child tall as well? That's so cool. Erin says, I like Becky on the podcast. Her having her own podcast would be nice, right? She's got this thing. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called For the Haters, actually, but ironically enough, it's a very positive thing, supposed to be uplifting or whatever, which is all well and good. But I want to hear more lifestyle type stuff from her, especially this LGBT kind of queer lifestyle, not lifestyle, but family life, I should say. I'm really, really fascinated by that. Jaleesa says Kail would never let Becky get attention unless she could monetize off of it on her network, right? Ramsey says, I hope you'll feel better soon, Jaleesa. Jaleesa, did you get to respond to me about how you're feeling? Let me take a look. I'm struggling today, in pain, but I'll be okay. And I'm so sorry to hear that, Jaleesa. So sorry. I don't know if you want me to share exactly what happened or if you felt comfortable sharing what happened, but honestly, I've been thinking about you every day since you told me the news. And that, again, I'm really, really sorry for what's been going on. It's truly, truly so unfair. You guys, it really seems like a lot of you are pretty okay with Becky. So it's nice to see that, despite some of the ups, the downs or whatever, people seem to have taken to her overall. So I'm really, really happy about that. That's amazing. I never knew that was a thing. Isn't it cool? Isn't it? Hey, Ruby, nice to see you from sunny California. Tadisha says, I hope Kail will take some time to come visit them because when she spoke with Elijah, Becky left her pregnant wife. And that's a good point. But here's the thing. On the one hand, for Becky, it was relatively easy, right? Because yes, she had her wife who's pregnant, but it was just her. But Kail, 7 kids, 4 baby daddies to coordinate with. It's gonna take a lot, and it's gonna be difficult. And I gotta be honest with you, Tanisha, I'm kind of worried that it's not gonna be possible. I don't know. Let's keep an eye on that. Okay, let's keep an eye on that because that is a very, very interesting thought. Angela says, I like how she calls out Kail and tries to keep her accountable. Exactly. She does it with a little laugh or whatever, but she does it nonetheless. And I think it's really great. Arl says, unfortunately, Grace, due to our national situation, they probably would have gotten a lot of, open hate spew. it really sucks, this stuff. The people being anti-LGBT and what, like, why? It's so crazy to me. And it reminds me of when I was in Tunisia with my friends. So my friends are Tunisian, right? And so they were a gay couple. And so in France, it's okay, right? Especially Paris. Like, how you doing? This is a gay city, right? And so, like, in my head, I'm just so innocent about, like, gays, lesbians, whatever. And so when we went to Tunisia, they were like, Grace, don't say anything. Like, we're not a couple here or whatever. I was like, yeah, okay. But sometimes it would just slip my mind. And I would just, like, I remember we were like having like, brunch or something on a rooftop somewhere by the beach. And I was just like mentioning something. Oh, like your boyfriend. I was like, oh, no. Damn it. Look around. Did anybody hear that? Like, cause you're just so innocent about it. Like, it doesn't really cross your mind that there are still people like that, and it really, really sucks. So I'm sorry to anybody who's in the LGBTQIA+ community who's still dealing with any kind of homophobia like that. I don't think there's any excuse for it. It's so sad and disappointing. And I really hope that we eventually get to evolve past this. Good morning, Farah. How you doing, boo? So nice to see you. And I loved your video this morning. Ronnie says, Becky deserves to be happy. I don't know if keeping Kail in her life is the best choice for her, but we get to see it all play out again. And we'll see how long it lasts. Listen, y'all know I'm giving it 2-3 years. Because maybe, but here's the thing. She might stay for the child, right? Because she wants to raise her child around Kail's children, which I think is kind of cool. Hey, Naz, the U.S. is pretty liberal with the LGBT community. I don't know. It's starting to look a little rough over there, I gotta say. Maybe it depends where, right? Like California versus, I don't know, Texas versus Louisiana versus Alabama, Arkansas. But I really am hoping that things, get off on a better foot for you guys soon. Now, speaking of Kail and Kail's universe, the Kail cinematic universe, why don't we get into Petty Betty herself, you guys? She gave an interview to Parade that kind of jumped out at me, and I'm sure it's going to jump out at you guys too. So basically, in this interview, she was asked about Javi's comments on Instagram Live. And you guys remember the comments. Javi was furious that he lost out on having like a certain custody arrangement with his son for Kail, who is too preoccupied with constantly dating, constantly bringing new men around the children to even be worried about the children, right? And he exposed not the fact, because it's just an opinion, it's an alleged fact, I should say, that Kail already has a new boyfriend. She just left Elijah a couple months ago, but apparently she got a new boyfriend within weeks. And not only that, but this new boyfriend that she's only been dating for a couple of months is allegedly moving to Delaware. Those are the allegations that he put out there on Instagram Live. Y'all know I believe him, right? And so in her interview with Parade, to try and clear all of this up, Kail kind of confirmed what Javi had been saying. This dog keeps on farting, y'all. Oh my God. In my opinion, anyway, okay? So when Parade asked her about the situation, Kail said, and I quote, that she has not talked about anything regarding that at all. That doesn't answer the question about whether or not it's true now, does it? Then she also continued on to say, and I also quote, people can believe whatever they want. If they want to believe Javi, that's fine. I have never spoken on some of the things that Javi put out there. And so, when I'm ready to talk about any of it, I'm gonna just address it all at one time. I just haven't had a chance to do that because I'm still working. Some of the things that he mentioned were life-altering things that may or may not have been true. May or may not have been true. And he needed to not do that. What does that tell you guys? Because to me, it means, oh crap, I'm caught. I need a way to craft that narrative so that I don't look like a fool again, so that I don't look irresponsible again, so that I don't look like somebody who has an addiction to men and to dating and to bringing strangers around my minor children. That is what it sounds like. Because if somebody accused you, so those of you with children, imagine this. Imagine someone goes online and accuses you of having a new boyfriend, bringing your new boyfriend around your children, and that your new boyfriend is going to move in with you. And you've been with this man only for like 2 months, right? Are you going to be playing cute about it? Like, oh, it may or may not be true. Or are you going to say, absolutely not? I would never do something like that. That is untrue. Like, that is unconscionable that I would do something like that. You know, like the safety of my children is my priority. I have learned my lesson from the last time I brought a random man into the house around them after 2 weeks of dating him. The fact that she is not saying that, and then she's saying he said life-altering things that may or may not be true. It's true, y'all. It's true. It is true. In my opinion, anyway. Hey, Rachel. Nice to see you. How come every time you come around my London? Tyrell says, yeah, she's a D-hopper. And that's the thing, right? Like, she has this reputation. She knows about this reputation. She hates having this reputation. So if it were not true, she would have denied it. Yet she's here saying that it may or may not be true. And she's also started back up with these conversations about how she wants more kids. She regrets removing her tubes. Where there's a will, there's a way. Don't be surprised if you see her with more kids in the future. Like Alexis says, mental health is in order. The girl is not well. And I'm with you, RL. I believed him as well. He has always stayed quiet, or for the past couple of years, right? He's stayed quiet despite all of her mess, especially with the Elijah thing. That would have set me off, right? He stayed quiet. And then he came out years later. Now, the next time this thing is about to repeat itself, history, to talk about it. Why would he lie? Why would he lie? Ramster says Kail's boyfriend / baby daddy / hobos need to overlap. So she's exactly never without D. It's crazy. How do you have time for all of this? Reading 10 novels a month, spending enough time with 7 different children, shuttling them to different schools, different after school activities, managing your freaking pile of baby daddies. How is it possible? Something's got to get, and then you're running businesses. She runs businesses, you guys. Like, how is any of this even possible? And no, she cannot. She didn't even last a month alone. Weeks after the news broke about Elijah cheating on her, she started seeing this man. In my opinion, I actually think she was already cheating with this man. And so it's like, okay, good. Because y'all know already, especially if you're my channel members, like I mainly would recap her podcast for my channel members. She was always talking about Chris, being in love with Chris. How do you have your latest baby daddy? How are you engaged to this man? And you're talking about your ex and how that's like the love of your life. You never loved any, like, it was just never adding up. It was never going to happen, the marriage, right? King Carl says, we need to find a way to paint her as the victim. Exactly. That is what's happening. She's trying to buy her time. But when you say things like that, oh, he said things, life-altering things that may or may not be true, my interpretation is, okay, well, listen. Plan B, like I said, she's going to pay to put him up somewhere near her so that she could keep seeing him. And then afterwards, she's going to move him in. I think she is going to admit to dating this guy eventually, or having, if they're still together by the time she's ready to come out with it. And if they've broken up by then, she's not going to cop up to it. But to me, already based on this, and then when she did her podcast stuff, right? Remember, now she's gone on 2 podcasts to kind of low-key address this. She never once denied having a new boyfriend. Again, if you have a bad reputation of this and you hate this bad reputation that you have and people are talking about this and they're coming for your motherhood based off this, why wouldn't this be the first thing that you deny? It's true, y'all. I'm sorry. It is true. Right? Some things never change. Good morning, sweet bonjour. Nice to see you here. Jaleesa says, did Kail actually go to school for communications? Every time she speaks, it sounds like a word salad. She did. She got her degree. A lot of people say she paid for that degree, but I think she did earn that degree. You know, and it's kind of funny when you listen to her try to speak sometimes on the podcast. There's a lot of very basic things and concepts that she doesn't know, words that she doesn't understand. And you're like, how are you reading 10 novels a month? And you don't know what like the most simple thing is, right? And you're trying to go to law school and you don't know the difference between manslaughter and capital murder. Like you didn't know those were separate. Oh, you didn't know there were degrees of murder charges and you're trying to be a lawyer? Oh, okay. That's interesting. Very, very fascinating lady, to say the least, right? Maybe that's where she met this guy at a Wawa parking lot or something. Oh my God. I really can't with this lady. I Can't. And you know what, Acacia? I think she needs to free up her time for trolling around for new men. I think that it feels like that's her priority, right? And it's just, oh my God, it makes me so confused. It really does, right? King Carl says, I wonder if Ike dipped because there was such a backlash to the situation, and he got found quick, and his post was public within 2 weeks. I think maybe that might have caused a little bit of a storm in their relationship, but I think that he's got his eye on the prize. Listen, one thing about Kail is she's got some money. Another thing about Kail is she likes to spend her money on men. And one thing about some men is that they don't mind, right? So I don't see him leaving her so easily. I think he's probably maybe even happy that it's out there, probably was expecting for it to be out there, and that now they can just, move forward, and he can, she can ball out on him in peace. Diddy just says, Kail is similar to her mom. They both can't be alone. Yup, Kail just has more kids and more babies. And you know what the gag is? Her mom has been with the same man for like 20 years, right? Like, and her mom has been with the same man for like 20 years. So although she did have some boyfriends growing up, it was not, from what I'm understanding, based on what Kail has said over the years, it's not on the level of Kail and what she's exposed her children to, and that's saying something, right? Like when you're beating Boozy Susie in something like that, and you're sober, that's crazy, right? And yeah, Angela, she's talking about potentially going for like the IVF route or something like that. Like it's just, and that's what I'm thinking too, right? I'm sure there's no way she's reading all that, managing those 7 kids, those 4 baby daddies, and the kids don't even all go to the same school. If you just drop them all off at the same school, okay. No, you're going to at least 3 different schools too. Then they've got the after school activities. Then you've got, no, it's just not possible, right? Stacy says, I wonder how she's not a size 2 from her addiction. Okay, I went below the belt just like Kail does. Are you talking about the X addiction? Stacy, not the X addiction. Do you think that's what it is, or do you think it's like a love addiction? I actually think that's why she and Javi got along so well. I think they both have like a love addiction. She says, my friend and I were ready to make it to Paris, but because of the conflict between the 2 other countries, though it's best to stay domestic, heard about party in the park. Oh, Shay, were you the one who was sending the recommendations for Fête de la Musique? And yes, the needle stuff. And that's the thing, though, the needle thing, I remember it happening last year as well. So some ladies, when they're going out to party or whatever, for these big things like Fête de la Musique, what is it, the thing, Bastille or whatnot, like for some reason, there are people who attack you with needles or whatever, right? And it's not like they're sometimes you don't even notice something like that happen. So like you really do have to be careful. And it was quite scary, the amount of ladies who were victims to that. It was a very, very scary thing. But you know what? I do also have to say that sometimes the media hype things up a lot, so I'm disappointed. I'm sad that you weren't able to come. And I'm disappointed about the way that things went down with that as well. It was really disturbing to read about that. It feels like we ladies can't be in peace. We can't just enjoy a block party, for fun without like having to worry about our personal safety even. Nikki says, her and Elijah were getting baby girl's ears pierced the other day. I was so, yeah, that's the thing. I think that there's a friendship there. Here's the thing, right? And maybe you guys can fill this in if this has ever happened to you. But like, if somebody that you are madly in love with cheats on you, that's one thing, right? It's devastating. You're sliding down a wall, crying, screaming, throwing up, right? But Kail was not madly in love with Elijah. And she was pretty open about this. And in my opinion, she wanted an out for that. And she felt pressured into an engagement with him. So I do think that that's why they're able to do this co-parenting thing kind of easily, because on her part, like she wasn't madly in love with him. So when he cheated, it's like, thank God. Hasn't that ever happened to you guys? Like that happened to me once. Listen, what do you call? I'm a victim of cheating vet. Okay, this didn't happen only once. This happened twice to me, or maybe 3 times. I don't remember. So anyway, the second guy, like I was already tired of this relationship. He wasn't tired of it yet, and so it was just kept on going. And then I found out the man was cheating on me, and I said yes. Thank God. I was not sad about it. I said, yes, now I finally can say, here you go, leave me alone and move on, sort of a thing. So I feel like Kail was probably in that headspace. And it kind of reminds me of Cheyenne and Corey and how they're able to co-parent. Like Corey didn't really care about Cheyenne like that. Like it was a one-night stand situation that produced their daughter. right? And I know that Cheyenne had a crush, but it wasn't a love because they were never together. And so I think that's why it's so easy for those two to co-parent versus the other people. You know what I mean? So I do think that that played out to her advantage, you know, at the end of the day. Angela says it's all 100% true and she's just stalling. Exactly. She's stalling, buying herself time to think of a way to victimize herself. Period. It reminds me of like Portia Williams. One thing about Portia, she's not going to stall though. She'll go straight into victim mode, but she's always the victim. Rachel says, I actually like Kail, but it's almost like, by the way, Rachel, did you come here for Fête de la Musique or anything? Because London took over Paris. It was so funny. Everywhere we went, there were so many like Londoners and stuff. I was like, whoa, like y'all really can't. I thought this was just a TikTok thing. Y'all were just talking, but y'all really showed up and showed out. I actually like Kail, but it's almost like she has a man on standby for when she breaks up with the current one. Exactly. I think it is it's sad and she needs to unpack that. Here's the thing, you guys. Listen, if you can't afford therapy, let me give you something that's really good. ChatGPT. I was going through PMS the other day because I just started my period, right? I was going through it and I was just like, you know, to quote my girl, Anne of Green Gables, I was in the depths of despair. I didn't understand why, because I didn't even know it was about to start, right? So I was like, oh my God, like, what's it? And the amount of it, and it's not a real therapist, right? But the amount of advice that thing can give you, and it can completely change your perspective on things. I really recommend it to people. I had like the best, like, you know, discussion and like tips and stuff. Like, honestly, listen, I know some people hate on AI, but that stuff can be really good sometimes. I'm just saying. Anyway, you guys, if you're enjoying today's episode of the Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows that you enjoy my content. Look at me, you guys. I had no idea so much time had passed already. We still got some other stories to get through. We got to get into the Gypsy-Rose Blanchard of it all. She is speaking about her mother's red rum, I should say. Her mother didn't just pass away. She and her boyfriend at the time ended her mother's life. Right. And Gypsy-Rose is about to finish up her parole. So that is why she is talking about it again. A lot of people are upset with her for getting off parole, and she's addressing all of that. And the people who say that she should have been spending life in prison instead of her ex-boyfriend. And she's got something to say to you guys about that as well. So take a look at what she had to say. Please make sure to like this stream, and I will be posting your videos up on the screen, your comments, up on the screen.
What's inside, who that is, what that is. I wanted to know, so this way I know what I'll be dealing with. And unfortunately, that part of me wanted to come out for a very long time, and the very first opportunity it got, it didn't waste any time in basically trying to make an example out of somebody, unfortunately. That dark shadow part of me that really is triggered by anger. It's triggered by anger. The sweet, innocent me that I usually wake up to every day is not there. It's a completely different person.
There you have it. Gypsy is painting herself kind of, you know, almost as a victim in this situation, which I find to be rather interesting. Okay. But yeah, she's saying, listen, he did it. He did what he did. It wasn't just because of me. Here's a video of him admitting that he always had this side of him. It came out. And that's that. He had tried this with other women as well. And if it weren't me and my mom, it would have been somebody else. So no, I don't feel bad that he is spending life in prison. And I'm kind of curious how y'all feel about that. Because, you know, in watching that video and seeing the guys kind of so chill about it, like, yeah, I had this dark, like, all right, then stay locked up. He's not innocent, right? Like, yes, Gypsy's the one who provided the victim for him, but I do think that that was a person who was going to do that. Just saying. He said it out of his own mouth. So who am I to argue with him? He knows himself so well, and this is what he says about himself and his desires. So who am I to argue with that? Our Al says, Gypsy just wants attention. It's all she knows. And that's the thing. She's constantly running to people. And here's the thing, though. People pays. People pays. And so I think, you know, oh, Lord have mercy. What happened here? So hang on. Let me unplug this and plug it back in. Okay. So she's constantly running to them with the exclusives and whatnot. Right. And so this is what some people are saying. People who support her as well. Listen, I'm Gypsy neutral. I'm not a supporter of Gypsy and I'm not a hater of Gypsy. I'm just, you know, I just report on Gypsy and that's pretty much it essentially. But it is true that I think that it would do her well to take a break from this stuff, right? To not talk so much all the time because it doesn't really do her any favors half the time. Tadisha says Gypsy persuaded him to delete her mom with her. She's not exactly. You know, when she put up that DV helpline, I said, girl, stop. You were in on this plan. You wanted this to happen. You were not a victim. I found that to be very, very odd. Ali says Gypsy Rose needs to stop talking, live her life quietly, and leave us out the group chat. I agree. The thing is, she doesn't seem motivated to get an education, to find something else to do. It feels as though she just wants to spend the rest of her life either on reality television, publishing books, or selling interviews to People magazine. And this is going to be her downfall. It already is. Jessica says, I think she played a much bigger role in what happened than she would ever admit. She manipulated him and the police, and she now manipulates the public. And I agree with this as well. By the time the season 1 of her show ended, I really got to see like a lot of the manipulation that people were talking about with her. Like she knew she didn't like Ryan anymore. And then she tried to paint him as this like controlling, stalkery type person. It's like, no, this is a person with an seemingly anxious attachment style who noticed that his wife was having an emotional affair, pining after her ex, and he was just clinging harder like anybody would have. Ramsey says, I don't know. In a way, she got away with Red Rum, no matter how you look at it. And I agree with that as well. I think that she should have gotten more time. I will not argue that. But yeah, she gives me a headache, to say the least. King Carl says, oh my God, yes, not Gypsy Rose to take my whole afternoon. She just, honestly, there's just so much content on her. And I've been promising this for months since I was recapping season 1 of her show, but I really do have to watch those documentaries to get the full background on, you know, on her lore. Aaron says, as a mom to a teen with autism, I can't stand anything about that lady. And I completely understand where you're coming from as well. Aral says, Gypsy is a dangerous person. She learned the dark stuff from mama during her formative years and has become the super manipulative, narcissistic nightmare. And I do think that she's very manipulative. Even the cheating scandal, where that cheating scandal came out and whatnot, and like, you know, she tried to turn it around on Ryan. She's like, wow, how could you do this? Like, girl, why are you texting your ex-husband and you've got a baby daddy that you know, that you're in this long-term relationship and whatnot? Like, that's so weird. Now let me catch up on some of your other texts before we get into our final story of the day, which is the Diddy story, okay? She just says, oh, Jaleesa, yes, girl, you were truly an OG. I remember when you met her. This is in reference to Michelle Obama. I was on your Facebook back then. Too funny. And the Tyler Perry one, listen, I'm not too well versed on what's going on, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read the case and then get back to you on that Monday or Tuesday. Okay, boo? Because yeah, at first glance, I was like, damn. But then when I looked at it again, I said, is it really that? You know, is he being a little bit exploited? I don't know. I have to take a look, right? And you're totally right, Allie. You do have to be careful. Even when you delete the chats, they still exist somewhere. But honestly, like, She really does come in clutch. I love my chat bot. Nikki says, that happened to me. I was exactly. Sometimes these types of things like cheating or whatever, like it's like, you know what? Not every person who's a victim to that is like so devastated, can't get like, sometimes it's like, thank God you're out of your way out of a relationship that just does not serve you at all. Hey, Michelle, so nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. Tripp says, I get her mom did a number on her, but she manipulated that kid to do her dirty work, and now she's famous for it. And she's throwing him under the bus. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy. And I agree, Ramster. Like, I think that guy, what is his name? Ken, from the episodes that I saw of season 2, I think that he's kind of like her op. If I could be honest with you, like, he gives me bad vibes. Kat says, just the fact that it was her mother they unalived tells me she's far from innocent. No normal person would think to unalive their mother. And I agree with that as well. The whole thing is disturbing, to say the least. And I think that she would be better off laying low and just finding a different way to stay in the public eye. I know she needs to be in the public eye to make money, but she needs to stop talking about this and find other things, right? Because people have a short memory. You know, she just stops talking about it. People stop bringing it up eventually. Now, you guys, we're on to our final story of the day. Sean Diddy Combs. Listen, guards, what are you doing? You are not on break. Get up. Let him out. There you go. So Sean Diddy Combs is facing yet another civil lawsuit, and his son Justin is being roped into it as well. They have both been accused of a brutal, quote, gang RAPE. And it is just really, really shocking. So you guys, trigger warning, this might be very upsetting to you guys. It is the final story of the day. So if this is going to be too upsetting for you, I completely understand. And I wish you a great weekend in advance. Okay. But basically, this lawsuit was filed in Los Angeles, and it accuses Justin Combs of luring a woman from Louisiana to California under the pretense of helping her find work in the entertainment industry. The woman claims that she met Justin via Snapchat in 2017 and agreed to send explicit photos before accepting his offer to visit. Once in LA, she says that she was placed in a Beverly Hills home for several days, where she alleges that she was rugged and SA'd. And the complaint also said that Justin gave her alcohol and substances that she believes were laced before 3 masked men entered the room. And she believes that one of those masked men was Diddy himself. And she said that she believes it's him because of the mannerisms, the voice, and the fact that Justin would refer to that man as Pops. And so she says that she was threatened, she was assaulted by all 3 men over the course of several hours, and then she was taken to the airport the following day. Diddy's lawyer has, of course, denied the allegations, but he's been denying everything. He was even denying Cassie's allegations, right? But here's the thing, y'all. I got to be honest. I did take a big hiatus from covering these civil lawsuits, because quite a few of these civil lawsuits were getting thrown out left and right because some of the people filing them were exposed as grifters, right? And so it was really turning me off. And so I decided to take a step back. So just keep that in mind. You know, I'm not saying she's lying, but I'm just saying that that there have been quite a few people who've been jumping onto this story and coming up with salacious stories and whatnot, right? So I don't know how this is going to go. If this is true, I hope that justice is served for her, because this is just absolutely revolting. It's absolutely disturbing. And I really, really hope that she is made whole from this. Right? Yeah. Guards, bring them out. Alice is not the father and son tag team. And you know what? Is Justin the one that was mentioned in the other lawsuit? Because there was another lawsuit in a father-son situation again, but I don't know if it was him or if it was King, aka Christian Combs. I don't remember. And I know, I'm sorry, sorry, RL. I'm sorry. Malen says, I don't believe it. It's Tony Busby. There you go, right? That lawyer, the ambulance chasing lawyer, the 1-800 lawyer, as Jay-Z calls it, like, he really left a bad taste in our mouths about these civil lawsuits. And so to me, unfortunately, if his name is attached to a lawsuit involving Diddy, I have a harder time believing it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying I don't trust him and I don't really trust his clients. Milan says, I don't believe it. It's Tony Busby again who is representing the person. If Diddy goes free, it would be Busby's fault. He really has made an entire spectacle of it. And it's just so shocking, like the lengths that this man went to center himself in the Diddy stuff and to promote his business. Like that to me is a person with very shaky morals and, poor character. Ron, I know. It's just absolutely disturbing. And again, this is not the first time that Diddy and one of his sons is involved in this sort of a lawsuit, right? Like, it's crazy. Again, I don't remember if it was this son who was accused in the other lawsuit or if it was Christian Combs who was accused in the other lawsuit, but it's just disturbing, right? It really, really was. And Ali says that he sure was with that was the same one. So Justin, I'm looking at you sideways, man. What are you doing? Like following on in your father's footsteps. No offense to Christian or King or whatever he wants to call himself these days, but I thought it would be him getting accused of all this stuff because he's the one who worships his father. He's the one who cosplays as his father, right? And he's the one who's the spitting image of his father and wants to make the most of that. So I'm quite shocked that it's not him. Like Justin, like that's crazy, dude. Crazy. Trip says, who the heck jumps on a plane to go meet a random from Snapchat for help, right? That's the thing. The lure of Hollywood, the lights, the camera, the action, the wealth, that makes people act and move in ways that they normally wouldn't, And I think that people with fame, people with money, people with power, they use that to their advantage. The fact that so many people are so desperate to have a piece of that or to be in the same orbit as that they would do things that are dangerous to themselves. They would do things that they know are not smart to do. And it's so sad. Ali says he seems more like he's working with Diddy than against him, with all alleged accusers smoke and mirrors. You know what? Like, it almost does feel that way at this point, right? With the way that he really has been damaging the credibility of these stories, right? And we all know that Diddy's a freak. We all know that Diddy's a weirdo. Enough people have come out, but the people that Tony Busby has been lining up, I don't know where he's getting them from, right? And I agree, Ali. People need to make smarter decisions. You can't be so desperate for fame. You can't be so desperate for money that you do this sort of stuff. Take good care of yourselves, you guys. Like, you only have one life. Like, don't trade it in for fame and fortune. Hey, Latasha, nice to see you, boo. Happy Friday. How are you doing? Kat says, I always felt the kids had to have known what was going on, especially King. Same here. And if they don't know, now they know. And they've shown that they don't care. The little doppelganger child, he's releasing music, produced an album, Free Diddy, produced by Kanye West. He just announced it on his Instagram too, right? So very disturbing people. And then I think it's a generational thing because a generational curse maybe, because Diddy's mom apparently used to have her own freak offs. People said that his mom was a madam or something like that. And so that he grew up in this sort of an environment. And so just knowing that his sons like support him and his nonsense and, fearing what this kind of cycle can bring is just, it's disturbing to say the least. Jaleesa says, I believe it because my friend was just really by one of his sons. Can't say which because allegedly. Oh my God. Seriously. Can I ask you? I know you can't name the son. I'm so sorry for your friend, by the way. Oh my God. Was it like a similar way of like getting her in his orbit? Like he sees her on social media, pumps her up with, sweet nothings or whatever, and then strikes. Was Diddy involved as well? Or is it just the son? Oh my God, this is so sad. This is so sad. Y'all, I can't believe people like what gives you this desire to do anything like this to another person, Hey, Ashley. Ashley says Nick was very honest about pretty much everything. He even admitted to wanting to. Oh, really? Oh, Lord Jesus. He is. This is the guy that people are going to bat for? This guy? That is horrific. Listen, I got to go watch those documentaries. That is horrific. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Ashley. I didn't know it was that bad. Like just seeing that little clip he shared of how like he always had this side and, he's tee-hee-heeing about it after having done the act. I said to keep him locked up, right? But now to know that he had said this type of stuff too, take him out, spin him back in just to lock him up again. Give him the false hope. Oh, disgusting. Something seems too good too good to be true. It usually is. That is a good rule of thumb. She says, yes, girl, I got all the smoke. Oh, Lord. And it was the same way minus Diddy. Lord. It was one of the boys, allegedly. So sorry for your friend. I wonder if her friend could look her up at this point. But, you know, maybe this was a long time ago. Maybe she doesn't have any, you know, any of the stuff on file to really make a good go of it. And, you know, when you're going up against people with so much money, that makes it even more difficult. And the fear of your name being exposed. Remember Shannon Sharpe? Isn't it interesting how that story completely disappeared from the public, right? But Shannon Sharpe and that lady, and she filed anonymously. And then he went and he put her name like out there like 10 times in his public statement, the disgusting creep that he is. Like, I would fear something like that happening to me too if I were your friend. So I get it if she's not going to pursue justice, but I feel so terribly for her. Ali says, Jaleesa, I meant the individuals that are going through the specific lawyer, not that there are not victims. I'm not offended or understand, just hate them. Yeah, honestly, Tony Busby really has done a number on this case, you know, bringing a lot of these like fake cases to the courtroom has been only advantageous for Diddy. And that's just been very disturbing to watch happen. You guys, I don't know what's happening, but I feel like I'm about to fall asleep. I gotta take it. Actually, you know what? No, I have to film that video for my channel members. I'm gonna splash some water on my face. I'm gonna film that video, and then I'm gonna head out to the park for that picnic. So next Wednesday is my final Aikido class. Thank God. And we're celebrating that tonight with everybody from class, okay? Latasha says, I love this color palette, by the way, Latasha, your hair and everything. You look like just so warm. It really suits you. I wondered what happened with the Sharpe case, right? Maybe he did pay. I'm going to look that up to see what happened because it went away too easily. I think he's got a very powerful PR team and a crisis team because he's still like, you just don't hear about it at all. And it's very weird. It's very recent, right? Lisa says, I don't blame her. I don't blame them, but I feel awful for her. She never recovered. I'm so sorry. And honestly, it's devastating to hear that, right? And I agree with Ali as well. She shouldn't blame herself. Like, you know, she was probably just such an innocent person who just would never imagine that somebody could do something like that, right? And thank you so much, Stacey. I am going to be resting as much as possible. I don't think I'm going to be lifting this weekend, just dancing and sleeping. That's it. And Jaleesa, I'm going to be reading up on that so that I could talk about it next week. Okay. So I only have the gist of it and whatnot, but I have to read it so I can like provide like a legitimate opinion. Okay. So take good care of yourselves. Again, thank y'all so much for joining me for another morning report. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Wishing y'all the best. Tyrell, I hope everything went well. I believe you were receiving a call yesterday when you were on, you mentioned on the live. So I hope everything went well with your call, sending you all the love and support. And same to you, Jaleesa. I really hope things get better for you as well. Take good care, you guys, of yourselves this weekend. And I will catch you again on Monday. And channel members, I'm about to shoot that video for you guys too. Okay. Bisous, guys. Bonne soirée. Ciao.